probably know that most of you are going to turn this off midway, but I would suggest not to, especially if you fly a lot, if you go on vacation a lot. Stick around. We got something to show you and tell you. Boeing's union betrayal and executive cash grab. A 40-year quality expert, Daryl Guberman, exposes IM 751's leadership failures and corporate corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, and those in the workforce, I too am in the workforce, I stand before you today not just as a 40-year quality expert, but as a truth-sayer, one who will not shy away from exposing corruption, incompetence, and outright betrayal of the American worker. In October 2024, I traveled across country to confront John Holden, the IM 751 president, because the union, the very organization meant to protect the rank and file, was failing miserably. Their handling of basic communications, contract negotiations, and worker advocacy was nothing short of unprofessional. Phone calls went unanswered, not just mine, but also the rank and file. And I was told that when I visited Renton, Everett, Auburn, and Northfield. Yup, I was told that by their very own rank and file. We call them up, they never respond. Phone calls went unanswered, concerns were dismissed, and when the moment of truth arrived, John Holden folded like a cheap suit. Let's lay out the facts. I went to go see John Holden with documentation that could have secured your 40% raise and ensured strong retirement benefits for the hardworking men and women of IM 751. But instead of standing tall against Boeing's final offer ultimatum, Holden bowed to the pressure. Boeing's leadership, Kelly Oberg, David Calhoun, and a parade of corrupt executives walked away with massive bonuses, while the very workers who built Boeing's aircraft were left to scrape by. The result, Boeing's executives got richer. 33,000 rank-and-file IM 751 workers got fucked. Same thing. Mass layoffs hit Seattle, Everett, Renton, and Auburn. Boeing's factory floors remain plagued with over 200 unresolved issues per aircraft before they even leave the hangar. Now, I got that firsthand from several people that work within the floor that I befriended, and we became friends there. Where were the executives? Where was John Holden? Well, I was in Seattle, Renton, Everett, and Auburn, and Northfield. I met with a day shift, night shift, and weekend shifts. And do you know what they told me? They never saw their management. They never saw David Calhoun. They never saw anyone from Boeing leadership, probably going to play golf. Yet suddenly, after I and others exposed their failures, vice presidents started walking the factory floor asking workers, what can they do to help? Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little too late. It's a little too late. The horse has already escaped the barn. And now on April 2nd, 2025, Kelly Oberg, the same CEO who delivered Boeing's last and final offer ultimatum to IM 751, will face questioning from Senator Ted Cruz in the Senate Transportation Committee. And by the way, the DOT sits on ANSI ANAB's board. I have to add this, the accreditation body that Boeing tells companies, shoves it down their throat, when they themselves were not AS 9100 certified for 20 plus years. Can you imagine that? But let me tell you what will happen. Oberg will walk in calm, cool, and collective, just like David Calhoun did on June 18th, because he knows one thing. No matter how many lives are lost, no matter how many aircraft fail, Boeing's executives always walk away richer. I can still hear the mother from the Indonesian Lion Air crash screaming at David Calhoun on June 18th, "You killed my daughter, you killed my family. You killed my daughter, you killed my family." But what consequences did Boeing executives face? Well, with David Calhoun, him leaving in December with $45 million in his pocket. Kelly Oberg, the former CEO of Rockwell Collins, who oversaw MCAS software development, will keep his millions, and yet Boeing workers are left with pink slips and pay cuts. And speaking of Rockwell Collins, let's talk about the cyber espionage case in Europe, where hackers stole classified military aircraft and missile system data, and Oberg was at the helm of Rockwell when this happened. And now he's leading Boeing into another catastrophe. Because I have offered my services to Mr. Oberg, I have offered them to the board. Okay, they need a guy down there on the floor to get the morale up too. The morale is horrendous. I checked when I was there, unbelievable. Boeing's certification scam, the AS 9100 fraud, and it is. Let's go deeper into Boeing's corruption. For 20 plus years, Boeing commercial aircraft was not AS 9100 certified. That's the international standard for aerospace. Yet they mandated that all their suppliers and subcontractors be AS 9100. Why? Because AS 9100 certification places suppliers into an OASIS online aerospace supplier information system controlled by the International Aerospace Quality Group, IAQG, which is also a member on ANSI-ANAB's board, which Boeing once controlled outright. Boeing never needed to inspect suppliers because they could simply check a database, no hands-on auditing, no quality oversight, just paperwork shuffling. And who runs Boeing's accreditation system? The American National Standards Institute and the American National Accrediting Board. And guess who sits on ANSI-ANAB's board? The DOT, the FAA, the DOJ, the DHS, and so many others, FBI, etc. And yes, Boeing itself. Boeing has the power to grant, suspend, and withdraw certification, meaning they control the very system meant to regulate. And that web page on ANSI-ANAB's site got taken down. Why? Because of me. In August of 2024, we kept on exposing this factor, and it disappeared. Why? Because it's got Boeing on board. Boeing took down those 2 documents I showed to the DHS Subcommittee on April 17, 2024, that says that just send in your certs, send in your parts. If need be, need arises, we'll come visit you. Isn't that nice? Now, after 20 plus years of ignoring AS 9100 certification, Boeing finally started working on it in 2024, but it's a fraud because they're probably going to use ANSI-ANAB accredited registrar and or their equivalent, which sits on the organization that they founded, the International Accreditation Forum. And those accreditation bodies, both national and international, are equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAB. So Boeing's certificate is impotent. Yes, it is. In April and July 2002, Boeing issued supplier bulletins requiring AS 9100 certification and also NADCAP certification for special critical process, heat treat welding, etc. The AS 9100 mandated that it has to be ANSI-ANAB accredited. These bulletins were on Boeing's supplier portal for 23 years. In January 2025, those bulletins mysteriously disappeared. In August, as I told you, 2024, ANSI-ANAB removed their management committee page, hiding Boeing's role in certification oversight. Why? Because Boeing's lawyers knew the liability is massive. The lawsuits from Ethiopian Air, Lion Air, Alaska Air, and even Boeing's pension lawsuits in Rhode Island, none of their lawyers fully understand the depths of this corruption. But I do. I exposed it. I challenge it. And I am here today to tell you the truth. John Holden must go. The 33,000 rank-and-file members of IM 751 must remove John Holden from office. Why? Because he betrayed them. He surrendered to Boeing's executives instead of fighting for them. He let them take the bonuses while workers lost everything. He turned his back on the very men and women who build Boeing aircraft. I am Daryl Guberman. I have fought corruption in aerospace, medical materials, and manufacturing for the 14 years I've been in business, but gathering knowledge and backgrounds of this corruption for over 40 plus years. I have seen these lies, scams, backroom deals firsthand. I have stood up before Congress and demanded accountability from Boeing, the FAA, and our government regulators. I will not stop. The workers of Boeing and IM 751 deserve better. America deserves better. The flying public deserves better. This is not over. As David Foster Wallace once said, the truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you. And let me tell you, Daryl Guberman, is not finished. The truth is coming for Boeing. It is coming for its board of directors. It's coming for IM 751 leadership who failed their workers. And as long as I stand, as long as I speak, and as long as there are people who care about quality, safety, and integrity, the truth will be coming out over and over again because I, Daryl Guberman, am not finished. 203-556-1493. And I thank you for listening to this. I appreciate you.